producing. It's very hard to find a producer who wants to be a producer.
Right.
Most
Producer
people
wants to be a director.
Yeah, most people are a writer who's producing, or an actor who's producing,
Right,
or
right.
a friend of yours, or whatever. But
Right.
he wants to be a producer, and he's actually pursuing that. And at the same time, there really isn't managers in Canada. There's agents to a certain degree,
Right.
but there's no managers, and managers are a huge thing in LA. And so a producer kind of can fill that role as well, because they're out there meeting the people, doing the
Right.
contacts, finding the money,
Very
and
kind of crossover
taking the
there.
meetings. And so we kind of just formalize a relationship with a manager, meaning that he can necessarily find me work, but not necessarily have to attach himself as a producer. So if he's meeting with
Right.
another producer, he can say, oh, well, Zach would be perfect for that, and kind
Right.
of, still be in his benefit. And then my other buddies have become actors and writers, and we still collaborate on all our stuff. And the thing is, it's good to have people close to you that you can trust.
Right.
Yeah.
And just know that the great thing about my buddy is that we have that ability. We've known each other for 17, 16 years,
Right.
so we have that ability to get in a fight and know that
It's not
we
the
can have the fight.
Yeah, right. It's
we
kind of an
we can
unconditional,
we can argue over something without the person going, oh, I'm never going to talk to you again,
Yeah,
and leave.
right.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
slam the door in your face and
Right,
never talk to them.
exactly.
You're never going to work in this town again.
Yeah.
Like it's like a sibling. You have the security of having a fight.
Right,
Because
and you have to
sometimes
trust.
you need to have
Yeah.
Yeah.
to kind of
that's
work through
important.
something that's important.
Exactly. Get it out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then let's say you guys wanted to make a film. Is it a big collaborative effort in terms of writing and then directing and then editing and post-production and everything, or is it like you guys have really defined roles?
Well, we have defined roles. I like to collaborate when I'm writing.
Mhm.
I definitely think that's something that makes the script stronger.
Right.
I usually work with I usually either work with a writer or at least shop the idea around and get peer review and that kind of thing. And usually me and the producer will kind of figure out what's the things that we like, but in the end it is the director's say. I think that
Right.
always needs to be
I
clear.
have someone who has, I
Well,
guess.
the whole point of a
total-
director is to kind of be that pinpoint of
Right.
to make sure everything is going in the same direction. Make
Mhm.
sure the costumes, the set, the actors, the story,
Mhm.
the way it looks, the way it's shot, the way it's edited is all telling the same story.
Right.
And so it's important that you know that and have that clearly defined. But at the same time, there's room in there to go, this is the direction I want to go. Do you guys have any ideas that would fit that?
Right.
And usually they'll come up with even better ideas. And
Right.
you'd be like, great, that's something I would have never even thought of. Cool, we'll put that in there. That works perfectly with this. And so I would say I'm collaborative, but you still need to know where everything is
Right,
set.
exactly. So you yourself though, do you have a technique that you use or a way that you sort of get your ideas or like come up with an idea or like?
Where did you get your inspiration from?
I'd say the thing I do a lot is, and I put it to the test when I was little a lot, that the main thing for me is to take a shower.
So keep clean.
Yeah,
And
no,
then-
just, it's almost like a sensory deprivation tank. It's like, just close your eyes, you can't hear anything because it's just the rush of the water,
Right.
it's warm, you can't feel anything, you just
Yeah.
it's just you and your mind. And like, on the very first task, day one on the lot, we had to come up with, they basically said, okay, great, here's the top 50 of what Spielberg's chosen, and
Right.
so the first task in Hollywood is for you guys to all come up with feature film ideas, and you'll be back here in 12 hours to tell us what they are.
Right.
And pitch them to us in 3 minutes. And so for me, visuals and directing style and how it's all going to be put together is the easiest. Coming up with a story is the hardest for me,
Right.
but it's also the most important.
Right.
And so I spent all night freaking out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to think of it, and they gave us a one log line,
Yeah.
just one sentence. To
Right.
Which
write
was
on.
your log line again?
Mine was, someone wakes up, doesn't know who they are,
Right.
and sees that they're wanted or missing, you could choose, on the television.
Right.
Okay.
Sees their face on the television.
Right.
And I spent all night, and it was 50 people pitching to each other and in the hallways, and everyone's
Yeah.
coming up with their ideas,
Yeah.
and slowly people are going to sleep and going to sleep and going to sleep.
Yeah.
And by the time it was like, I think we had to pitch at 8 a.m., it was about 6 a.m., and I was still only had like half of this idea and half of it, because I really wanted to make sure it was good, and I was starting to
Yeah.
freak myself out, because I was
Right.
like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm just gonna go and have a shower
Yeah.
and just like not leave the shower till I come finish this idea. So I get in, my roommate's asleep. It was Adam's time,
Okay.
Okay.
and that's how we met.
Right.
And I go in, draw the curtain.
Yeah.
I was in there for an hour,
Nice.
pitching to myself, and by the time I came out, I had the full idea.
Right,
The
but
thing
you
I
were
hadn't
wrinkling curtain
realized,
probably.
I had left the curtain on the outside of the tub, so
Oh,
it
God.
filled an hour's worth of water into the entire bathroom and covered all my clothes are on the floor. They're
Oh,
all
that's so
soaking
funny.
wet. I was like,
But you had your idea.
Yeah.
But I had an idea.
Good icebreaker for you and I. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So you touched on this before. So you were saying that the story is the most important part to the film. So would you rank that? You rank that as the #1 part of like a great film. Well, what would be like? I guess the next great part, is it the actors? Is it the directing? The cinematography?
For me, it's kind of the originality of it, or like the kind of what's new about it. It's like,
Right.
you know,
It's
the
not the
story
same
might
old
be
thing.
the story might not be the original part,
Right.
right? Like I made a film called Crazy Lake, which got me into the
Right. The 10-minute
Right.
one shot.
Yeah. And so, what was cool and original about that wasn't the story. It was a guy who was late for his wedding.
Right.
Yeah.
But the fact that we did it all in one take, and it was an adventure film in one take with stunts and you know
Right.
cranes and blah blah
Right.
blah, that was the
Right,
hook. That was the
exactly.
hook that made it.
Well, and actually,
interesting.
pretty much all your films that you made, like it was that
Some
one
sort of
thing,
hook.
some sort of hook, like, you know.
Well, that's because that's what comes more naturally to me.
Right,
That's
right.
my skill set is
Right.
the kind of visual hooks that
Right.
make something, you know, a lot that kind of make them remarkable or make them
Right.
stand out.
Right.
People were raving about your first film that you did with the two other filmmakers with the freeze frame.
Yeah, Time Out.
Yeah.
That was exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
It was with me and Adam and Sam. We're like, okay,
Right.
you know, what can we do that's going to be? Because
Probably wow them.
I mean, the only things that really succeed in the world, whether it's in business or whatever, are things that are remarkable, things that are
Right.
different
Right.
than everybody
Mhm.
else. You know, I was watching this great thing on the internet of one of the TED conference. You guys know that? It was down in Washington. Basically, just people discussing their grand ideas.
Right.
Okay.
And one of the guys was talking about things that succeed, and he said, you know, if you drive down the highway and see a cow, you don't stop and go, oh my God, there's a cow. Oh look,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
1,000 cows.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
driving. But if there was a pink cow, you would
Mhm.
stop and look
Right,
at it.
right,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? That would be something remarkable.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that would be something that set you out from the rest. And
Right.
throughout the whole process of the show, and most of the films that I try and make, I try and go, why is this different than every other short film that's made in the world? Because there's tens of thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of shorts made every year.
Right.
What is special about this one? Why are people going to remember this instead of all the others?
Right.
And that was something I tried to do too on the very, very, very first part of the show was you have to submit a 5-minute cut of a film you've done and a 45-second intro of you just introducing yourself and introducing your film.
Right. Yeah, I saw that.
So I knew that they were going to be seeing tens of thousands of boring people going,
Yeah.
sitting by their computers,
Hi, I'm
saying,
Jonathan.
"Hi, I really love film. I really have a passion for storytelling, and I want to be on the show."
Right.
So I started off as boring as I could, going, "Hey," and it was down on the seawall here, almost just like this, looking out
Yeah.
over the entire city,
Right.
and it was very handy-cam, YouTube-looking kind of.
Right.
Hi, are you rolling? Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
rolling. Hi, my name is Zach, and I'm a filmmaker, and kind of starting off really boring, and then I had my mom and one of her friends walk in the background and start going, oh my God! My buddy pans over, and then in the computer we had an entire spaceship start attacking the city.
Right.
And of course I save the world and blow it out of the sky, and you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and then get right back down to, anyway, so here's my film, and blah blah blah.
That's
And the
awesome.
only reason that was there was I knew they'd have a screener sitting at a computer going, okay, what's the next one? And then, oh my God! And then show it around the office.
Stephen,
and-
like,
That's awesome.
so you have to try and think. I think that would be the thing next to the story that's important, is what sets it apart from the.
Right. So what did you learn most then from the show? What would you say was the #1 lesson you learned?
if you could boil it down to one, I guess.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of confidence in what I was in. I guess it gave me confidence that I could do it. I guess.
Right.
That was one of the first things when I did my pitch. The one criticism that Carrie had, that all the judges had really, were that was a brilliant idea. But if you had pitched it with 10 times more confidence, it would have been amazing. You know what I mean? And so I was kind of like, okay. So they're like, you're good. You just
Right.
need to know you're good.
Yeah.